Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cynthia, and this is like my co-event coordinator, Brenda. So we're very excited to have you all
Hello.
here today for a really cool opportunity to learn a little bit more about Real Campus. So today we have a very special guest. I think I'm pointing to him, Jordan. So he will be presenting and explaining a little run through of Real Campus today, and at the end we'll have a little interactive Q&A session with you guys. So I don't want to ramble on too much, so I'll pass the reins to Jordan, and he can introduce himself and get started.
Cool. Thank you for having me, folks. This is one of the fun parts of my job is hanging out with campus groups that are doing really great stuff with mental health. So thanks for having me. Just a housekeeping comment off the top. Feel free to use the chat at any time or unmute yourself. We're a small group. If you want to ask anything or if you have any clarifying questions, I also encourage this open dialogue too. So these things are often best as conversations. My name is Jordan, and I'm one of the co-owners of a company called Shift Collab, and we are the group that delivers Real Campus. So we co-created it with We Speak Student, who is the insurance company that many of you all have health benefits with. We have a deep relationship with those folks over there. And we've created this program that's very much in its infancy still, but we have big hopes ahead. I'll tell you just a little bit about our group and provide context of how we got to this point, and then we'll talk about the program itself. And then towards the end, any questions you have about mental health, accessing care, accessing services, what therapy is like, what lifestyle counseling is like, any of that stuff, like lay it on me. I'm going to share my screen and I'll share a proper presentation in a moment, but just to provide a bit of context. So I I graduated university a little bit ago and I went to grad school and I started my career. And I very quickly, I was working in management consulting, doing that whole thing. And I eventually got into healthcare marketing and then healthcare program design and mental health education. It's a long sort of journey, but I ended up in this place where I was going around and doing lots of mental health education at different campuses and companies all over the place. And along that path, it became pretty clear that there was something that was missing in the campus market in terms of accessing great mental health services. So not just like education workshops, but actual therapy, actual clinical stuff. And at the same time, I was bringing my company together with my now fiance's company. If anyone's ever interested in working with their partner, I can provide all sorts of insight and horror stories. She's a therapist, practicing therapist, and I was a mental health educator. And so we brought our companies together. And at the same time, we started to have other people that worked with us on the mental health education side. And then she had other therapists that worked with her too. And all of a sudden, like what from the outside was kind of confusing, made a lot of sense to us because one of the biggest things that's been frustrating in the therapy and in the mental health education industry is that it's very isolated and cut up, right? And so if you imagine like your traditional view of therapy, it's something that happens privately in a room, in a building on campus, and whatever happens in that room is in a safe place as much as possible. But it's not like those lessons and that information kind of trickles out into the rest of your life. It's not like the ahas you're having in the therapy room can really be mirrored in your classroom or at home or at work or wherever else. And that is a big problem. That's a huge problem because none of us develop really great mental health by just having sort of these one-off moments of inspiration and improvement. It's all about practicing the things that we're learning, skills, tools, greater self-awareness every day incrementally. So we grew our team, and then around that same time, we met the folks from We Speak Student. And just in case anyone's not familiar with We Speak Student, so We Speak Student administers the domestic healthcare plan for Canadian students at McMaster. So when you say you go to the dentist and you want to get some money back, or it's going to be billed directly to the insurer, they take care of that. Or if you're getting prescriptions at reduced cost, they take care of that. So basically, as you may know, part of your student fees every year by default, They include, I'm not sure exactly what the premium is for you folks, probably, I would imagine for a domestic student, probably around $200 to $400 a semester or a year. I don't know. I don't deal with that kind of stuff, but it's a sizable amount. That's just by default in your student fees. And some students opt out of that if you have coverage under your parents, or if you just really want that money, then you opt out. So we teamed up with that group. And what was interesting is this. So before Real Campus, there was a program called Aspiria. And I may get in trouble for saying some of this, depending on who's in here, but well, we're all friends, it's fine. So Aspiria, they're what's called an EAP, an Employee Assistance Program. And basically their business is to be kind of like a call center, where if you're covered under Aspiria, you can call in and you can access counseling, therapy, similar things as Real Campus. The problem is Aspiria was working with all the same campuses that we work with now, and almost no students were using the service. Like, and when I say almost no, I am not exaggerating. Like, I can't disclose, if I say the actual numbers, I will get in trouble one way or another. These things always come back to bite me. I want to tell you, but it's like a shockingly low number. And we're talking about like hundreds of thousands of students that have free access to this thing, but like literally you could almost count it on your hands and toes how many students were using the service any given year. And we saw this information and we were like, whoa, that's, excuse my language, like, because on campuses, there is a mental health pandemic right now. There's a mental health pandemic in our communities more broadly, but we saw this information, we were like, that is nuts. And then we looked into the service more and we realized, well, it's impossible to actually access it. Like, I called in a bunch of times and I was on hold for at least 30 minutes every time before speaking to a real person. We emailed them, you would hear back within a day or two with these really vague exchanges. We actually had students reach out and try to book therapy sessions, and it would take like a week to 2 weeks of back and forth before anyone could speak with anyone. And it's no wonder the usage is so low. And here's the awful truth about this whole thing. Unfortunately, companies get more money if there's less usage, because every semester you pay your student insurance fees, whatever it is, a couple $100 a semester as part of your tuition. And the less that you use that, the more profit that's made. And all of this is just like soul sucking to me. And I didn't understand what was going on when I went to University of Ottawa. It sucked. I wish I didn't go. It was fine. I wish I went to McMaster. One of my best friends in high school went to McMaster, and I've always was kind of jealous. So it's like this money is just kind of like it's going into the hands of these massive businesses. So going back to my story, so we got to know the folks at We Speak Student, and they realized as much as we did that this isn't okay. And so the idea was to try to create a program that was actually going to be used by students. And because we were sliding it in, essentially like Aspiria was taken away and we were brought in, and we had the opportunity to create something from scratch, which was kind of wild if you think about it. Like, we had never administered a program at this level. But we were certainly a smart, driven team and given an opportunity and trusted by the campuses, and then that was great. So where we are today, so we're a couple of years into the program now. McMaster came on last year. So we're like a year and a half in with McMaster on board. And so far, again, I can't get into the specifics as much as I would like to. I'm a very transparent person, so it drives me nuts when I can't be honest. But the usage is like exponentially more than before. And that's great. And in fact, our biggest pain point, one of our biggest pain points with the program right now is that there's so much usage that it's causing problems with the back end insurance company that has to pay for it, because again, they made money on people not using the program. And now that people are using it, they're like, oh, this is actually going too well. But that's for me to figure out with them, to push them around and figure it out. The most important thing to us is that students have access to care really quickly in a way that is simple and actionable for them. And so that brings us to Real Campus. And look, I will be the first person to say that it is not perfect, but it does, we have worked really hard behind the scenes to make it a great experience. So before I get into any, like what makes the program unique and what you can expect, I'll just tell you a little bit of what's included, okay? And to do that, I'm gonna share my screen. And by all means, for anyone that just joined, feel free to use the chat if you have any questions here in Zoom, or you can also unmute yourself too. I'm just going to share. Oh, would you be able to enable my screen sharing? Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So we'll get to Maple in a second. All right, let's start off with this. So I'm not even going to go into, because we're all friends here. I'm just going to show you the website first and just sort of explain what's included. Actually, no, I'm going to go here. Let's do it this way. All right. It's Friday afternoon. I'm feeling a little reckless here. All right. So Real Campus is called a student assistance program. That's the technical term for it. And it's a take on the employee assistance program. As context, student assistance programs have been around in Canada for about 10 years now. They are often not used, as I've said, and most of them that are out there are really designed for employees. And then those companies were like, hey, we can support students too. And they just kind of changed the name around a bit, and it's the same thing. And so we built it only for students. We don't work with companies with Real Campus. Obviously, it's like a campus specific thing. And we actually, at our company, we have like a Real Campus team that doesn't really interact with anything else either. So some of the things that we really focused on in the early days was to have a mental health focus, which I know sounds really obvious, but it wasn't, because most of these programs really try to be catch-all. It's like, hey, like come and like you can talk to a therapist or like a counselor or like a doctor or like watch a course or like read a blog or like blah, 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 blah. And we do some of that stuff too, mostly because we have to, but like honestly, like 98% of what happens with the Real Campus program is the delivery of therapy. And that's the biggest need. That's what we're really good at. All the other stuff is frankly just noise. And it's like, it's nice additive bonuses, but it's not the core features of the program. It was built by therapists. So I'm one of like, no joke, in our company. So we have like 82 therapists right now and like a core operations team of 10. Of all of those people, of almost 100 people, there's like 3 or 4 people that aren't therapists on our team, and I'm one of them. And so it was overwhelmingly built by therapists, with what therapists would want to support their clients, and not just any therapists that were really excited about working with post-secondary students. So that's one of the things you'll find when you reach out to Real Campus and when you connect with your therapist. Like it's not like we're sitting around judging people and being like, oh, they need to come to therapy. It's like, we really believe therapy is a good thing anytime. And people, even when they're in a good place, can benefit from therapy. So it's like more like hey, we're so excited that you're here. This is awesome. Let's dig in. Like, it's more of that kind of tone rather than like, oh, you're really struggling, hey? And that's one of the big kind of differences. We're focused on collective care and coordinated care. What that means is it's kind of like a hub and spoke model for any business students out there. So the idea is that you have one central care record, and that we bring in different professionals to support you and even different therapists. So it's very common that a couple of therapists with different specialties will team up to support one student. And that is a very, very different approach. We have no wait times. We have some wait times if you request certain therapists. Sometimes that can happen. But especially now because of COVID, we're operating 100% virtually. And that means that we can actually support students faster. So like for any of you, for real, if you reach out to Real Campus today and you're like, I want to talk to someone this weekend, I'm pretty confident that could happen, no problem. Sometimes it can even be same day. And then care coordination. And this sounds really lame as a thing to brag about, but so we have like a Real Campus team and they just work on Real Campus stuff all day long. They support students. They all have their cases of different students that have inquired that are using services. And it's their job to help you navigate what you need, whether it's within Real Campus or, using some therapists within Real Campus and other resources, but then, hitting up different campus offices for different elements of support. And we coordinate all of that for you. We work with you to design that care plan. Like one of the biggest things that it's almost like, all of us are going to be more motivated to make a big change in our life or big improvement if we feel like someone has our back. And that's the care coordination team's role, like to be your advocate. So that's some high level things of why we're different. Our therapists are very human and relatable. I want to stress that enough. This is Kelsey, one of our therapists. They're young too. Like we are a young team. I'm also one of the oldest people in the company, which is wild. But don't misconstrue youthful attitude for not effective care. In fact, dollar for dollar, we pay our therapists way more than competitors. And if you pay young, high achieving therapists more money, you're going to have like really solid therapists. And that's what we've learned. And they're motivated to do what they do. They love doing what they do, working with college and university students. And it's one of those things like you'll find one of the things that we offer and can support students with is more nuanced and niche needs than maybe like a campus counseling center. And so a lot of campus counseling centers, they're fantastic. The problem is there's wait times or that there's a very general focus. So campus counseling centers, including McMasters, refer clients, students to us constantly because we have a way deeper well of experience in key different areas and can support students. But we're super human, we're super relatable. I know I seem like a bit of a young Yahoo kind of person, and everyone's pretty much the same. It works well for us. But I'll come back to that. Yeah, our care team, they're amazing. They're super cool. They speak a bunch of languages if you need. Quick side rant, but important thing. One of the things that a lot of these programs do, and you will see it, especially if you're an international student, with the different benefits that are available to you, you'll see companies be like, oh, we speak like 180 different languages. They don't. Like they do not at all. But a lot of these different groups will be like, we can accommodate a million different languages. Like, look, if you call us up and you're like, hey, English is like my second or third language. I would really like to speak to someone in Arabic or in Mandarin or in French or whatever. We can probably make that happen pretty quickly. Like our core therapy team speaks 25 different languages. Our care coordinators speak a bunch of languages. We can support you there, and it's not lip service. And if we can't because people are booked up, then we'll tell you that too, and we'll figure out a better option. So the team's fantastic. Okay, let's talk about what's included in the program. Okay, let me break this down. I don't have it. Okay, I'm going to switch screens here. So basically, if you go to realcampus.ca, this is, so I'm going to tell you guys all my secrets. So I hate this website with a passion, and I was one of the people that built it. And we are in the midst of trying to renew the program right now. And so if you benefited from Real Campus, please tell your student association. And we're trying to renew it. And part of that is also going to be a reinvestment in the whole digital presence, including a whole new portal for students. But in the meantime, it does its job, which is effectively to get you to contact us. And once you're in the system, it's so much easier for us to support you. So you can go to realcampus.ca and then you can select your institution. Okay, so these are all the different campuses that we support at any given time. And there's even some others that aren't listed here too. So it's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students. And in effect, the big thing to know is, so I would say in terms of hard services that are available to you, there's really two big things to know, okay? So the first is the access to therapy. And there's two ways to access that. So I'll talk you through one way, then I'll show you the other way. So therapy, as I said before, is a great catch-all in terms of like, with our team, it's totally cool if you come in and be like, hey, I need to talk to someone because I'm trying to figure out this big life change. And the big life change could be like, a breakup, a move, trying to figure out how to live within COVID and deal with isolation. Like it can be whatever you need it to be. It can even be something that's like super practical with school. You can be like, I want to talk to someone because I'm having a hard time focusing while I need to study. Totally cool. Yeah. And we have therapists that do a lot of work in those areas. And so like one of the things that we're really big on is like, it's not really about like sending you to like a study coach or something like that. It's actually, our therapists are well trained to be able to support you with a lot of those instances. And so the therapy component, you can get to it in two ways. So one is by reaching out direct to us. You can call us if you're old school. You can email us, and we have a standard. We respond to every single person every day. It's like, so there's never at the end of this shift, when our intake team, our care coordination team logs off at 8 p.m., there's never an unanswered message in the inbox. And if there is, which happens very, very rarely, it's because it was just like explosively busy that day and that person needs to get some rest or that team needs to sleep. So you can email us, you can call us, you can live chat with us. right down here, okay? And you can also use the contact form that's on the website. We just need to know a little bit about you and we'll get you set up. And really what that honestly looks like is tell us, your name, your student number, your email, what you're looking for at a high level. Even if you don't know what you're looking for, you can still say, hey, I don't really know what I need. And our care coordinators will text you back or however you want to be contacted. We can text you, we can call you, we can email you. And they'll ask you a bunch of questions and figure it out. But it's going to be quick, it's going to be seamless, and we'll get you booked in for care. Okay. Therapy sessions are 60 minutes, well, really 50, 55 minutes, to be fair. They're like hour-long sessions, but in fairness to the therapist, they need a couple minutes in between each session to kind of take notes and recalibrate. So really 50 to 55 minutes. And as part of your standard coverage, you each have access to 6 sessions per year. We would like that to be higher, to be very honest. We would like it to be higher. Unfortunately, with the extremely high use of the program, we had to put that limit in place last year so that we could support as many students as possible. It's frustrating, but it is what it is because this program has absolutely no cost to you. In fact, all McMaster students, whether you are enrolled in the health plan or not, if you are a Canadian student, you have access to, if you're an undergraduate student of any kind, you have access to Real Campus, whether or not you're in the health plan. And that there's no cost to you. So those 6 sessions are totally costless to you. And then if you want to continue on, if you're like, so a lot of people sort of like, look, starting therapy, couple first sessions, you're just feeling it out. And then you get in a rhythm around session 3, 4, 5. So you get to 6 pretty quickly, for sure. If you want to continue on, if you do have health benefits, you can use those. And we have very discounted rates for students that come from Real Campus, and you can see the same therapist. We make it really easy for you. Okay. So basically reach out to us once you're in the spider web, so to speak. We'll be able to track you down and set you up for success. There's also, you can just go here, and at the bottom of the McMaster page, there's a simple form. It's kind of long. And the reason it's kind of long is we need a bit of information from you in order to just make sure we're supporting you properly. Trust me, it saves a lot of back and forth messages later. We figured this out. Yes, great question, Brenda, about roommates and neighbors. Well, actually, it's just roommates and family members. So this is one of the unsung things about Real Campus, and one of the things that we sort of talk to people more about once they're getting care. But in some cases, someone's reaching out because a roommate or a family member is struggling. So they're actually included too, okay? And that's great. So you can actually reach out and say, hey, I want to set my roommate up with care. They are say a graduate student at McMaster, so they wouldn't be eligible to get Real Campus themselves, but we could see them and they would have the same eligibility as you. So all you have to do is reach out to us. That's really the easiest way to do it, because it does require a little bit of, you can imagine, we have to sort of log it differently on the back end. What I would say though is this, as a good rule of thumb, is so you can reach out on behalf of someone else, but we need to talk to that person about it. You can't, there's a lot of ethical guidelines in these programs. As cavalier as I seem about this stuff, there's a lot of ethical and moral things to figure out. And one of the big things clinically and ethically that's important is we can't make anyone, we can't book anyone in for care without them wanting to receive care. So like if you have a roommate, for example, that you're like, man, I wish this person could talk to someone about their anxiety. I'm just going to call up Real Campus and book them something. You can call us and we'll tell you exactly what to say and do, but we do need to speak to them in order to make sure that it's okay. And that can be done over email, it can be done over text, but we need to have their permission effectively to book them in for services. So that's how it works. And then it's not tracked against your own session count either. So you could use up to your 6 sessions and they could have 6 as well. The feature really isn't used much, to be honest, because it's one of those things where, as I said, it's sort of best used in tandem by people that have been through the program or that are getting care currently. Hope that answers the question. Okay. Oh, good question. No, you can't, unfortunately. You cannot. So the question is, just in case anyone's not keeping their eyes on the chat, If I haven't used my 6 sessions, can I give them to someone who's used theirs? Unfortunately not. They're not transferable. There's a bunch of reasons why we can't facilitate that. Look, in an ideal world, okay, like no nonsense again, in an ideal world, I think that would be awesome if we could do that. I really do. Unfortunately, it's just not how these things are modeled out by what's called an actuary. If you're not familiar with an actuary, it's the people that actually figure out how to balance the cost of these programs with the service delivery. These programs are really, this program, I can't say the specifics. You can ask your student union if you want to know, but like this program does not cost anyone much money. Like it doesn't. It's kind of priced in a way where it's heavily subsidized by the insurance company. It's really not a big line item in the scheme of the student benefits overall. And it's important we keep that cost low because then we can have as much eligibility for students across the board. And if we start to have students that use more than like, say the 6 sessions, what ends up happening is the program gets more costly for everybody. And when it gets more costly, the accessibility goes down. So it's a really fine balance, unfortunately. So that's why there's limitations on that. Ready to say for everyone, that's a typo on my behalf. Yes, family and roommates. Yes, okay, cool. So the other way to get care, so you can reach out to us and look, I get it. It's annoying to have to reach out and talk to anyone about booking stuff. We make it really quick and painless, but there's an even quicker and more painless way, and that is through Maple. So we have a partnership with Maple. Maple is a great virtual care platform. It's funny, we started working with Maple probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and they have just exploded since. It's wild. Like when we started working with them, they had like 5 employees, and now they have like 100. It's wild. So they started as a virtual doctor platform that's available across Canada, 24/7 doctor visits. Unfortunately, you do not have that as part of your Real Campus plan, but you do have access to therapists for what's called on-demand sessions. So it's kind of like the Uber for therapy. So how it works is this. So the first thing is you go to the Real Campus website, you click on On-Demand Care. It's going to kick you to this page, okay? And you have to go through this link and register for Maple, okay? And then all that's required is you just select your school, you put in your birth date and your student number. And then it's going to essentially look at what's called Pulse, which is a back-end database that we all share. That just, it's just this data set, and it basically syncs up student numbers with eligibility and student status. Just because you can imagine people really do try to fake it to get like as much free stuff as possible and steal sessions and stuff. It happens all the time. And then once you have that, it's going to send you an email, and you can download the Maple app. Your account is immediately created, and then it will guide you through going into the app, and you request an on-demand therapy session. The on-demand therapy sessions are delivered by our therapy team anywhere in Canada. And whoever you speak to, you can book in for a full session through Real Campus. So the on-demand was it was designed to try to be a stopgap. It's not for, just to be really clear, it's not meant for crisis situations. Like crisis centers are much better suited to support in those instances. This is more for, we really conceived it as like single issue challenges or things that are very timely, but not to a crisis level. So what that might look like, for example, is like, say you're on the edge of having a panic attack. Like that is a good moment to use this. Or if you're really wrestling and you can't sleep over a massive decision, and you just need someone that's impartial that can talk you through it and help you reframe that thinking. That's what the on-demand sessions are great for. But if you hit it off with the on-demand therapist, if you feel that connection, you can say, hey, can we book in a full session? And then we'll book you in for a full 50-minute session through Real Campus. Okay. And that's how a lot of people end up coming into Real Campus. It's great because it's a great way just to test it out. If you're worried about wait times and you don't feel like maybe starting with reaching out to us and you want something that's more lean and app-based, you can do this. Also within the Maple app, you can just talk over text as well with your practitioner. It's not, honestly, like text-based therapy, it's really not as great of an experience clinically for many people. For some, it works well, but for the vast majority, it's pretty hard. It's also really hard for the therapist to get a proper read of what's going on. So I always recommend using voice or video instead. But yeah, so the Maple app is fantastic. You have access to it, and you can access as many on-demand sessions over the course of an academic year as you need. I do not recommend you use it like as the first thing to use it for, though. Like, it's not like any time, like if you find you're using it frequently, you are so much better off being matched with a therapist that can support you, because they're going to get to know your case. Because how this works is it's literally like how Uber works. Like when someone requests a session, all the available therapists get a push notification on their phone, and it's whoever can grab it the quickest gets it. So it's not going to match you with the same person you maybe talked with before, or the person that might be the best clinical fit for your needs. But it is a way to get care really quickly. Okay. Anything that's requested on Maple, the sessions happen really quickly. I see we have like a ticker thing where I see all the session requests all day long, every day in Slack. And it's quick. Like busiest time, it might be a couple hours. Normally it's within an hour or so. So it's like very, very quick. Okay. So that's the other way to access care, access therapy. So those are the two ways. The other thing I just want to share quickly, just going back to the Real Campus website, is so we also have lifestyle counselors, which are pretty cool. We kind of tweaked it in a way like, so a lot of lifestyle counselors are kind of, I don't know, too general to be useful. And the idea of the lifestyle counselors is the exact same as some of the therapy logic, which is we wanted to create a way where students could access broader support for their wellness instead of relying on services that may have a wait list or may not be accessible within their campus. And so we have a legal counselor. So you can have an hour with our legal counselor anytime. It's single use per year for any of these, but like if you say you're going through something with an old boss, they're not paying you, which we've dealt with, or say you're having a challenge with your landlord, you talk to our legal counselor. They will tell you exactly what to do, what to file, how to make the most of it. We have a career counselor who can advise career planning strategies as you're in school. We have a study advisor to help with your study habits and learning. We have a nutrition advisor, a couple of them actually, great nutritionists that are available to help you make the most of your student budget in healthy food, or if you have any chronic diseases or challenges like Crohn's or colitis or anything like that, or diabetes, and you're looking for support on diet, by all means, talk to our nutritionist. We have a couple others as well too. We have, financial is a big one for us. We have lots of students seeking out financial guidance. And these are third-party people. These aren't employees of McMaster. They're not with the insurance company. They're just people that are credentialed, love working with students, and really excited about this. So that's also included too, up to one session per practitioner per year. Which I know isn't a lot, but it's, again, the whole idea of this is trying to get people to the next level of what they need. So what it'll often look like is people will typically start off by speaking to a therapist, and then the therapist might refer, hey, you should really talk to like Bruce, one of our legal counselors, about that challenge that's really stressing you out. And then I'll keep tabs on you. Like, so the therapist and the care coordination team kind of have your back during your session credits, and then they may bring in those other practitioners to fill some gaps too. Cool. All right. And then outside that too, we do, back in the day, we used to do on-campus events. It was amazing. But we provide a lot of workshops and whatnot too. If you have signed up, if you've gotten service care from us, you've probably gotten a ton of emails from us, marketing different workshops and whatnot. Most of them aren't really publicly posted except for on social. So do follow us there. But like most of them, honestly, like 90% of the communications we do are behind the scenes email. And so there's a lot of ongoing learning. There's different things that we're doing right now. There's student peer groups that we're leading right now. We're doing a bunch for international students at the moment, where they meet 6 times with a therapist in a group of 8 to 12, and they're going through a same program of curriculum dealing with anxiety and stress together. We're about to launch the application for the next round of groups, which will be for international domestic students, so you can sign up. We're doing a lot, and a lot of it's behind the scenes there. But That's essentially the overview of how it sits today. We do have different courses and whatnot that we recommend and that we built ourselves. The Rethink Self-Care course is one that's very front and center across the board. You'll see it on the homepage of our website. But we do have a bunch of others that we refer people to as they get into our web. So the biggest thing I want to say about accessing care through Real Campus is like, no matter what you do, reach out. Even if you don't know what you're looking for, reach out. If you feel like something's not quite right and you want to make a change in your life, reach out. Like that is the hardest part and it's the most important thing. And our team will go out of their way to support you in figuring out what's right for you. Whether it's a service that we can provide, whether it's something on campus, whether it's something in the community, or wherever you are. We have students because of COVID. Of course, we have students that are all over Canada right now that would normally be here in Hamilton. Like we're set up to support you wherever you are. So reaching out is the biggest part. And then we take it from there, okay? And all of this is to say is like, and one of our North Stars is like, we just wanted to build a program that had a much more human approach. And that's what we've been fortunate to be able to pull off. Now supporting thousands and thousands and thousands of students every month. So let me see what else. Hit me up with any more questions in the chat here. I'm just gonna see if I missed any other key points about the program right now. No. Nope. No, those are all the big points right now. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. We use Google Slides, it's great. And just hit me up with any questions that you have.